Welcome in to the Pirate Preview right here on the Sports Objective. I'm Dave Richmond, along with, ladies and gentlemen, I would call him Stevie Wonder's Cobb from LaGrange. Barber, how are you, man?
Going on, Dave. I do not appreciate that comment.
The way you're looking like, oh, shit, I thought you were going to see my Cherie Moore or something. But anyway, Bubba Rosenbaum, what's up?
What's going on, guys? Looking forward to talking some Pirate football.
And absolutely. The Pirates have a huge matchup on Saturday, high noon on ESPN. And we have got a great special guest. He returned the favor, right, Bubba?
Yeah, we joined this guy, David Brown of the State of Atlanta podcast on Tuesday nights. And now welcome into our turf, so to speak, David. We appreciate you joining us.
Be gentle, guys. Be gentle. It's my first time.
It's not what I heard, Dave. It's not what I heard at all.
Well, he's married, so but anyway, hopefully you don't mind. It's three of us and one of you. We were fair to you, I thought, on Tuesday night. We didn't ruffle your feathers too much, did we?
No, I really appreciate you guys coming on. It was a good time. I think that our listener base really enjoyed hearing the Pirate perspective on everything, and hopefully I can give you guys a little bit of info about our program, what we think we're going to do on Saturday.
No question, a big matchup with two teams that I think are, David, evenly matched. It's certainly a 50-50 game is the way I've described it this week, and I want to get your take on things as we're less than 48 hours away from kickoff.
Well, I'll tell you what, going into the season, before the world went to crap, this was a game that I was really excited about, but also really nervous about. ECU is a great program. You guys finished the season really strong last year. So although I thought that we had a chance to compete, we had a lot of question marks on our team. We are starting a brand new quarterback. We graduated our running back. Our defense has been questioned for years. It only been getting really worse, honestly. So we had no idea what to expect going into the season, but this was the game that I had circled on the calendar that was going to be a real testament to see how we've progressed as a program in our short history. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm still looking forward to it, even though everything's going on the way it is. We've only had one game in the books. You guys got one game in the books. We looked a lot better on the field than I ever expected going up against the number 19 team in the nation, the Raging Cajuns of Lafayette, Louisiana. And you got to call them Lafayette because they hate that. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I think this is going to be a real, like you said, evenly matched. Vegas has no idea. It's swayed anywhere from a 1-point favorite in the Pirates side to a 1 or 2 point favorite on the Panthers side. No one has any idea what to expect other than probably a very high-scoring game. I think the over-under's still sitting right around 70 for this game.
Yeah, you mentioned your running back graduate, and you didn't miss a lick in your running game in game one. Talk about your running back you have this year, and also your quarterback's got good legs, and just your offense in general. I heard some of our coaches compare it to a little bit like the offense Appalachian State was running back when they had Amani Edwards.
Yeah, we our running back we have Destin Coates. He was here last year, so he's got some experience in him. Problem is, like I looked at your guys' game against UCF last week, and you guys ran a whole stable of running backs. And while I think we had 4 guys with carries in our first game, it was 1 or 2 for each of the other guys, and Destin was the one that was carrying the lion's share of the carries. So until we can get more of a some multiple guys out there, I'm afraid of us wearing out Destin a little too early in the season. We have a guy, Seth Page, who's injured. He should be coming back. He won't be back this week from everything we can tell. So it's going to be just Quad Brown, our running back, and Destin Coates, running back show. Quad won out the quarterback battle. He was our backup last year. He played in a few games. Did not look great. So we had no idea what to expect coming into this season. With him winning the job, we have a a Vanderbilt transfer in Jamil Muhammad, who we kind of thought was going to be the starting quarterback, simply because if you have a P5 transfer to your program, that's probably going to be a starter on the game. But it seems that Quad beat him out for that job. And actually, in fact, Jamil has, as of this week, has moved to inside linebacker. He realized that if he wants to see the field and play the game, he's going to have to find a different position, because Quad really did wow the coaches and the fans last week or 2 weeks ago, so to speak. So, Quad he's taken over from Dan Ellington, who was a very, very dynamic quarterback for us last year. You could say the best quarterback in Georgia State's short history, definitely a fan favorite. The guy was a great passer, great running. I think that Quad, while he's still a dual threat quarterback, doesn't have quite the speed or the legs that Dan had, but he's fallen right into. Dan's actually stayed on as a assistant coach. So we have that positivity from him in the locker room, the leadership from him in the locker room. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. I wish we had another last week to prepare the guys for you guys, but that game got canceled. So game 2, we'll see how the guys fare.
Well, your quarterback Quad, how's his arm? Obviously, his legs, he can run the ball, not as good as your previous, but how's his arm? How's the passing game for Georgia State?
He's got a strong arm. He's accurate. I think you're going to see a lot of that happening in the game. We've got a good receiving core. We've actually, even with bad quarterbacks in the past, we've managed to keep some good receivers on the team. And I say bad quarterbacks. We've had the past 3 quarterbacks we've had have all been great for us. It's just taken them about a year to get ready. And I was talking to Dave and Bubba about this on Tuesday. We have this history of bringing in a quarterback, and it takes us about a year to get them figure out the system. They'll be crap. We'll win 0 games. We'll win 2 games. And then the next year, their senior year, we go to a bowl game. That happened with Nick Arbuckle. That happened with Connor Manning. That happened with Dan Ellington. And so now we've got Quad coming in, and we're hoping that we can not have a rebuilding year, first year with a quarterback. And I think that Quad, with his experience, has the ability to do that for us. You're going to see some deep balls. You're going to see some passing. It's not going to be a Georgia Southern team that just has their quarterback is effectively a new running back.
Yeah, and one thing I've noticed about Sean Elliott teams over the years, just looking at some of the wins and losses you guys have had, you seem to be a team that gets up sometimes for certain games, like Tennessee. You had a win over Arkansas State last year, win over Troy, but then Western Michigan just boat raced you. I remember his first year there, you guys went to a bowl game, but somehow managed to lose to effing Tennessee State. So it is. Have you noticed that it's Coach Elliott's team's kind of what am I looking for here? Well, the motivator, I guess, and sometimes it's easier to motivate than others.
Yeah, Georgia State has such a weird history of football, and I do like Coach Elliott a lot. I think he's only our 3rd coach in football history. And he's definitely come in there, and he's introduced a level of positivity and just energy into that locker room that we've not seen from our prior 2 coaches. That Tennessee State loss was rough. It was our opening game in our brand new stadium, the renovated Turner Field we took over from the Braves. So that was a heartbreaker to have a coach come in, lose to an FCS school when you're supposed to be opening up your brand new stadiums. That was a rough one. And there was a lot of people calling for his head after week 1 of that year. But he's definitely changed opinions of the fan base, and we love him. And he's a strong offensive line guy, so he's gotten that built up quite a bit. I like this team. I like this team he's put together. He finally has his team. He's not playing with any players or 1 or 2 players from the previous staff. He's got his team in there, and we saw it on Saturday a couple weeks ago. He put together a product on the field we were not expecting to see whatsoever at all. I like what he's done with the team.
I even like with the matchup where you have, as silly as they may sound, the fact that this week is the Georgia State Panthers versus the East Carolina Pirates. Panthers, Pirates. It has a nice ring.
Yeah, I like it. This is a matchup that I really like. I like you guys a lot. This is a program that we followed for a while. You guys have a rabid fan base. You guys pack the stands there in Greenville. We were really looking forward to having you guys come down. We play better in packed houses, and our fan base is pretty small and fickle. So we don't get a real packed house in there very often. So we knew even if it was going to be a hostile environment, you guys coming in and packing our house would just make us play better. So it's unfortunate that the world is what it is right now. We don't get to have the big tailgates and the big party in the stands for the game this week.
Yeah. And Kyle and Bubba, I was going to mention the fact that we've mentioned too, David, the three of us, there's a lot of Pirate fans that don't realize just how good Georgia State really is. The program has really been built up. It's not like playing a team that, it's going to be like an opening game where you can easily win and you schedule it. It's a game that people better take serious.
I think what that is, Dave, is your casual fan or your fan that's a diehard East Carolina fan, but not a big college football fan in general, doesn't recognize the name Georgia State because Georgia State's only been playing FBS football for a handful of years. So they don't recognize the name, and they don't realize Georgia State's been to a bowl game 2 of the last 3 years. They don't realize they went on the road and beat Tennessee. They don't realize Sean Elliott's a good physical football coach. So it's no fault to Georgia State. Georgia State can only do what they can do. The exposure is getting better with the Sun Belt. Sun Belt's TV appearances are getting a lot better, not just maligned to ESPN3 or ESPN Plus. So that's good. What are your thoughts on the Sun Belt Conference overall? I like the conference a lot. I think the Sun Belt, from what it was, 5-6 years ago, has improved dramatically. I think Appalachian State's had a lot to do with that, along with Louisiana and Arkansas State and other teams trying to chase them. I think when you have 1 or 2 strong teams at the top and everybody's chasing, I think that can be good for a league because it can improve the quality of it. And you get an App State that's consistently in the top 25, and that improves exposure for the league for everybody. What are your thoughts on the Sun Belt as a conference? Do you guys like the league?
I want to answer this in 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to toe the line, and the second part, I'm going to be completely candid and honest about everything. So to toe the line, what I'll say is the Sun Belt has been completely overrated as a G5 conference. Its perception is it's the bottom dweller of the G5, but I think that we've shown over the past few years that's absolutely not the case whatsoever at all. Appalachian State came in, and they are by far a dominant program in the G5, and we're kind of riding their coattails a bit. But Lafayette and down there in Louisiana, they're a stout team. Arkansas State's a stout team. Georgia State, we're trying to be a stout team as well. You got Georgia Southern, which I hate beyond words. I hate even using those words together. But they've done very well transitioning up from FCS after we did, even though they have 40 years of history, and we've only had 3 when we moved up. Got to get a dig in that way. Sun Belt is a good conference, and if we are to be in a G5 conference right now, I don't want to move to any conference that's not Sun Belt unless it is the American Conference. That's a conference Georgia State belongs in. We are a urban university. We're a research university. We fit the mold. I know that Greenville, North Carolina isn't necessarily a big urban city, but you look at the rest of the schools in the conference with your Memphis and your Cincinnati and your Tulanes and Temples and whatnot, being in these big cities, big market cities. That's what Georgia State and Atlanta is. And our aspirations are to join you guys up there in the American. And I feel like this game is a game where if we can just be competitive, but hopefully if we can win this game, this sets a precedence that, yes, we do belong. That is a place for us to be, is in the American Conference. And I cannot wait to get out of the Sun Belt because this is not a conference that I feel like we belong in. It's a bunch of regional small programs that they aren't Atlanta. Lafayette, Louisiana, Monroe, Louisiana, Statesboro, Georgia, Boone, North Carolina. Does anybody even know where to find those guys on a map? You put
I don't know, but I hope the Pirate fans are watching this. I hope the players are watching it. Those regional schools that are in small towns.
No, but you guys are a different breed. You guys are an absolute different breed and definitely belong in the American. You have that competitive spirit. You got a fan base that follows you very, very strongly. So yeah, I'm right there with you. ECU may be slightly an outlier in the description that I'm giving, but I think you belong in the American. And just as much as I think that Georgia State belongs there as well.
Yeah, certainly that's, with East Carolina, that's the one problem we have is there are some people even inside our fan base that think we're small time, but I do think we're big time. And certainly with
no, I don't think anybody thinks we're small time, Dave. I mean, it's an argument to what he's alluding to. It's became all about media markets, and it used to be about what you could do on the football field. And because of ESPN and what it is, it's all became about media markets. And while Appalachian State may be in Boone, I bet they'll beat the shit out of you. So
we have not won a game against Appalachian State since we've in any meeting we've had with them, and a lot of times it's been quite embarrassing, to be honest with you. But I think we're getting there. We're getting there. They've definitely shown their weakness this season, and we get them in a few weeks here, and hopefully we can. Thank God we're not getting them in December. We played a game. I don't know if it was our first game against Appalachian State, but it was one of the first ones. We played them in December up there during a blizzard, and it was an absolute nightmare. They beat the living snot out of us. So thankfully we get them in November, and hopefully we can actually show our true colors in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's Sean Elliott's done a hell of a job building a football program in Georgia State, and you guys do have advantages in Georgia. You know, Atlanta's a hot area for recruiting. The state of Georgia's got a lot of talent in it. You can go down to Florida and get talent. You can go over to Alabama and get talent. It's a fertile area for recruiting and to build a program. You got a stadium that, because the Braves have to have a new stadium, I guess, once every decade or so. So you guys were able to purchase Turner Field, and now you have a nice football stadium. I know you guys are in the process of I guess maybe it's the city of Atlanta. What's the story with your basketball arena? Yeah, I hear you guys have a new basketball arena coming. Is that all Georgia State's, or is that going to be the city of Atlanta and Georgia State? What is the story with that?
That'll be completely Georgia State's, but it won't be owned by athletics. It's going to be a convocation center. It's going to be academically owned by the university. It'll just be a place where we can hold events and then also host basketball. But I tell you what, that thing looks amazing. It's fantastic. It's going to be right down there by the old Turner Field, now Center Park Stadium where football plays. They're building an entire athletic community down there. For anybody that's been down to an old Braves game, you'll know that where Turner Field sits, or where it sat, the old Braves Stadium, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, was right there next to it. We still have an outlay of it in red brick out there on the asphalt with Hank Aaron's wall where he hit number 715. And that's going to be our new baseball stadium. We're going to build it on the footprint of the old Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, which is going to be fantastic for baseball recruits and bring baseball back to downtown Atlanta now that the Braves moved up to Cobb County. But that basketball arena is going to be something else. And I think that really does take our facilities to a level that we've never imagined before, because our basketball arena now, we call it the sports arena. My high school up in, the burbs of Atlanta had a better gym than where Georgia State plays basketball right now. And it's intimidating. We have a great win-loss record there. It's a very intimidating place to go, but it's just not the type of arena that you see in a top tier G5 program. So getting this new convocation center is going to be something that's really going to stand out. And our basketball program has been the best thing we've had athletically going on the past few years. Multiple NCAA appearances, and winning around against Baylor down there in Jacksonville. I was there for that game. Probably one of my favorite sports moments of all time. So it's gonna be really nice in downtown Atlanta with a great little area over there for Georgia State sports.
How's the city getting behind the locals? When I say the city, I don't mean the city as in the chamber. I mean, how are the locals that didn't go to Georgia State, that aren't alums? Is the city embracing Georgia State, or is everybody still about UGA and Georgia Tech?
I will be absolutely perfectly honest with you. Atlanta is a city where there's something going on every single weekend, and they get behind winners. And Georgia State's not been a winner in football. They just haven't been. So, and being in the South, football wins all, rules all. Basketball is just not as big of a sport down there. Neither Tech nor Georgia gets a big basketball following themselves. Georgia State is by far the best basketball program, college basketball program in the state, and we don't get a huge following outside of the immediate fan base. So it's been difficult to get the city of Atlanta, the rest of Georgia in there. But we have 150,000 alumni living in the metro city area. If we can start winning some games, we can get some quality opponents like East Carolina to come in here. And we do. We've got North Carolina coming down here. We got Vanderbilt coming down here. We have some other programs coming in that I think can draw some crowds. But when you're playing schools like Lafayette, Louisiana, nobody in Atlanta wants to do that. They'd rather go to the Dogwood Festival and watch somebody make crafts out of bathroom tile. That's more entertaining than seeing some school from some backwood Cajun country come play football.
Pretty good game the other week. I was rather entertained watching it on TV.
It was a good game. I was shocked by that game. I was not expecting that kind of performance. Like I said at the beginning of the show, we had no idea what to expect out of that. But, you got a team coming off of a P5 win, coming into your home. And with a new quarterback, a new running back, and a skeptical defense, that's not what we expected to see. A 2-touchdown lead early in the first half. We're excited about this program. We think that, as far as the conference goes, there's not a game we can't win if we played at that quality we did last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and as the Pirates, get together out of the fields of Eastern North Carolina and make their way down to the big city of Atlanta, GA, and hopefully we won't be too out of place. But what are your keys to a Georgia State victory?
We have to have a defense that actually knows what the hell they're doing, and we played like that the first half of the Lafayette game, and it kind of came to pieces there at the end. If we can have our defense that can really stand up, it sounds like I believe your offensive line's a little green, a little fresh, so that may be an advantage on us because we do have some. Even though the quality may not be what we want as a team, we have some guys on there that have been on there for several years. We have the experience. If we can get some pressure on your quarterback, make him have to. I mean, that guy's a stud. Holton is an absolute stud. So that he scares me the most about playing you guys. But if we can get some pressure on him, we can see Quad and Destin play the same way they did 2 weeks ago. I think we like our chances in this game against you guys. But I agree with what Vegas says. This is going to be a close game. It may be last one to score wins type thing. I don't see this being a blowout in either direction.
No, I would tend to agree with that. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to come down to the fourth quarter, maybe even overtime. And special teams, I think, could play key in this game.
Absolutely. And, we're starting a new kicker. So he only kicked one field goal, one attempt at all in that last game. It was an overtime one. So we have no idea what to expect from him as well. He just moved up from FCS. That was his first FBS kick ever.
Well, and then the fact that we have Jake Verity, is he hurt, guys?
Conflicting reports on that. I think hurt would be right more so than injured. He'll be kicking. He kicked Saturday. He kicked Saturday, Dave. He kicked the PATs. So
I know, but what I mean, I know that. I'm just saying that, like, in other words, for what my point is, I know that he played, but is it enough to, if it's a 52, 57 yarder, would he be able to pull that off with an injury?
I have no idea.
According to what I've heard, Dave, I do think Jake Verity's been battling some injuries. And you noticed against UCF, there was a time there, I'm trying to recall what point in the game, but we had an opportunity to kick a longer field goal, and we elected to go for it on fourth down.
First half. We didn't get the fourth down conversion. Yeah, that Dave, that would have been a good question for Coach Houston at the on the Zoom.
Well, I was just thinking about that. I know. I can ask Kyle Barber, the expert, man. You know it.
No idea. I have no idea. Bubba says he's banged up. So who's behind him? Is the Aussie kid? He's a punter, right? Who's our backup kicker?
Yeah,
we have a young guy, don't we? Freshman.
As far as kicker, yes, there's a guy who was new to the roster this year, and you also have Patrick Nations. Yeah. I'm trying to recall the new guy's name.
Montgomery. He's a Montgomery recruit for Nations, right?
Correct.
Well, let's hope Verity is healthy enough to kick all the PATs and field goals, and we don't have to deal with that.
Well, David, I tell you what, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about it, the game, and I know that you guys. It's sad to say that we're hoping that you guys would come sooner than later, but it looks like 2027 guys before you got. And,
2027.
Yeah, maybe my kids will be old enough to drive me up there by then.
And by the way, David, hopefully we'll be through the coronavirus. But in addition to that, do you like barbecue? Because the three of us will take you to some barbecue places.
I tell you what, man, I'm a barbecue snob. I'm actually originally from Memphis. And I compete in Memphis in May Barbecue World Championship. So, yeah, I'm a barbecue guy. I won't even eat the barbecue down here. It's not good enough for me down here in Georgia.
Are you North Carolina? Do you like North Carolina, Eastern North Carolina barbecue?
Man, it's all about Memphis barbecue ribs. Those sweet ribs. I like the dry rub myself, but anything from Memphis style is what I got, man. Except for that coleslaw and a pork sandwich. I don't know why people put vegetables on barbecue. That doesn't make sense to me whatsoever at all.
Oh man, that's good stuff. I love it.
Well, Eastern North Carolina, we did whole hog barbecue. We cooked the whole hog, not just a rack of ribs. We do the whole hog. and vinegar sauce, and and sometimes we do put coleslaw on it.
Well, we actually got a barbecue joint that opened up right by the stadium. It's called Woods Chapel. If for any of your Pirate fans that are listening, they are opening up. This can be coming to the game. They're opening up at 11 o'clock for us on Saturday, and they do whole hog barbecue. So they do just pork shoulders. When you get a pulled sandwich from them, it's coming from all over that pig. But it's good barbecue for what you can get in Georgia. I like it. That's where I'll be getting a pregame drink before heading into the stadium.
We'll watch it, okay?
Hey, and guys, that kicker that we couldn't think of because he's a freshman and a surprising addition to the depth chart, it's Owen Daffer.
Owen Daffer. What a terrible name.
There we go.
I was just thinking of a great name for a kicker.
You're a Pirate. I love you.
David, how can people follow the show? I know there's been some state of Atlanta fans, I think, tuning in tonight, and even one of the co-hosts as well. But how can folks watch the show? And certainly, there you go.
Yeah, there's Tim. Yeah, Tim was one of our co-hosts there. Yeah, looking forward to the 2027 matchup again. That's a game that I have every intention of making. But yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at State of Atlanta. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/State of Atlanta. We post everything on our YouTube channel, but YouTube doesn't give you friendly names, so just go search State of Atlanta on YouTube, find it all there. But yeah, the Twitter account, I try to. I mean, for an old man like myself, I try to keep active with the Twitter thing, but it's a young man's game, and I'm not sure what I'm doing over there. I try to keep it posted up and updated.
All right. We enjoyed having you on. Good luck to the Pirates and Panthers, and may the best team win.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it, guys. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Light it blue.
All right. David Brown there, the State of Atlanta podcast. Loved having him on, and it was fun having him on, actually being on the show on Tuesday night, guys. A lot of fun. And, it's going to be, again, I agree with you guys. Kyle, Bubba, what's the latest? I didn't look today, so help me out. What's the latest on the line as far as the game, if you're a betting man or woman?
I looked earlier. It came down yesterday to 1 in favor of Georgia State or even. Today it's gone back up. Georgia State by 2.5.
As of right now, Dave, per my app, the score, it is Georgia State by 1.5.
So it's down to 1.5 again, if the app said it correctly. So anywhere between 1.5, 2.5, I guess depending on where you look, Dave.
All right. Guys, very excited to have our next guest. He actually is somebody that I've thought a lot of personally and professionally for a long time. And I know his days at WNCT, Channel 9 in Greenville, WITN, and now with East Carolina doing everything. I think he even coaches the team. I don't know. Brian Meador, what's up, dude?
Hey, my man, I appreciate the kind words. You guys are always so good to me. And I thought Kyle was going to come through the screen when he said that Georgia State deserved to be in the American. I was like, what? Come on, man.
Were you sensing my aggravation there just a little bit?
No, when he said regional schools, I was like, what regional school, man? He's a nice guy. He knows what he's talking about. The guy's very knowledgeable, but I don't think that Georgia State moves the needle for this regional bunch here in Eastern North Carolina. So, yeah.
He's talking about, them being a big city school and belonging with all, but he was knocking. He sitting there knocking App State and Lafayette. And
I know.
Like, are you kidding me, dude? Those programs. First of all, they're beating you. Second of all, you can't talk shit about teams that are beating you.
You were very polite. I was like, come on, Kyle. That's not the Kyle from LaGrange I know, man. Come on, where are you, guy? Get on there, man.
He's a nice guy. He's on
Hey, Meador, it's election season. He's got to be the kinder, gentler Kyle right now.
I've been reading this stuff on Facebook. I don't comment because I don't want people knocking on my door. But he's spot on with a lot of stuff he's saying. Good Lord.
Election season, kinder, gentler. Evidently, that ain't where it's at with the elections. I'll just start calling people clowns and telling them to shut up and then talk over people and act like an asshole.
Kyle 2020, man. I'm on board, bro. I'm with you. You need a running mate in there, man. I'll be your attack dog. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Well, definitely, you can win the president of Pirate Nation. How about that?
I'll try. I need president of something, right?
Yeah. Hey, Meador, have you heard any more about as far as Phase 3 is concerned? Will that be more fans in the stands? I haven't heard
yeah,
anything.
I mean, the last I heard, which was yesterday, was 7% is the hope for Navy. But I'm certain if we go, phase 3 tomorrow, I guess. I got to believe it's going to be 10% or more, if not higher. I mean, I really do, and I'd love to see a quarter of the stadium full.
Yeah, I've heard 13%. But
Okay, yeah, you're on the inside, then, buddy. I'd love for them to just open it up. I mean, look, I see people coming and going, Walmart, everywhere. I know Kyle's had enough of this crap, and he's talked about it enough. But open the stadium up. And let's see some fans in the stands making some noise, man. And I think it would do everybody a lot of good. I really do.
No, it makes you got a 50,000 seat stadium, 51,000.
You could spread out easily, man.
Yeah, easily. I mean, you do 20-25%. You got 12 to 14,000 people in there.
Yep.
Easily spread them out, and that takes care of your season ticket holders. What do we got? About 10,000 season tickets still left.
That's right.
And then you could bring in a couple thousand students, and everybody's happy.
Well, I think the key there is to create an atmosphere and get people happy. Well, the key is we got to get a win. I mean, this town we need a win, man. Going down to Atlanta, especially Atlanta, a place where true Pirate fans there's a special place. I can't stand Atlanta. I hate that place, but one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my life was watching that kick sail. To me, it was wide right, but for me, looking at it, I was in the end zone when he kicked it, and it was to the left. And oh man, we rushed the stadium, the Peach Bowl I'm talking about, obviously, and it was incredible. And I think that's when I decided I got to be a part of whatever that is, because there's some magic down there on that field and on that sideline and in this stadium, and I always wanted to be a part of it. So we got to get that back, man. And just getting wins is the way that you create those things. And people, it's easy to say, man, I'd rather watch it on TV. And, we've talked about this in the past, guys. You don't get that feeling on a television set. I tell people, we didn't go to a bowl game in 2010 or Ruff's first year. We didn't go to a bowl game, but that Tulsa game, man, holy cow, that stadium was electric that day. And you can't get that on TV. It was incredible.
We did actually go to a bowl game Ruff's first year.
Hey, Meador, talking about the Peach Bowl, how many rows up were you that day in Atlanta?
I was under the overhang at the very top.
Okay, right.
Yeah. I was standing on a chair back. My little sister, she actually went to East Carolina and then went to vet school at State. Traitor. But anyway, she had to make a living, I guess. But she's standing right beside me, and there was this older couple in front of us, and they were State fans. Kelly's, inebriated. She falls over the top of the chair and lands on these people because we're jumping up and down on top of the chairs. We're having a blast, and she falls. Of course, I'm like, you're on your own. I got to get to that field. I take off running. I actually got a chunk of the field that I still have in a box. It's gray now, but I got a piece of the purple and a little bit of the gold. And over the years, I've gotten other gifts and things that people have given me, like the goalpost, a piece of that. And it was just, I know younger fans get tired of us old guys talking about that game, but it was incredible. It was a lot of fun. And when you don't have many of those, you cherish the ones you did have.
Yeah. No,
and Meador, we 11 wins, the most in school history. I mean, my God, and the fact that Illinois game, we should have had a perfect season, but that's a whole nother show that we got
robbery at the end of that game. Yeah. But you know what? You don't know where you would have ended up, and the way it ended was fine. So playing State on that day, and the way the history had gone with that program, and tearing their stadium up, and then well, anyway, you guys know the history. We don't have to go back down that far. So
yeah, not nearly as big of an environment or as important of a game this weekend against Georgia State versus NC State in the Peach Bowl, but still a big game and a game the Pirates need to win. I really think we have two winnable games back to back here, Meador, with Georgia State and USF. Unfortunately, they're both on the road.
We don't do well on the road. I said we haven't done well on the road in recent years. We had 2 wins last year.
Well, we did win 2 road games last year. We beat ODU and UConn.
That sure did.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't make a difference to this staff, but one thing that's interesting to me is David from the State of Atlanta podcast says their quarterback has a good arm and is rather accurate. He ran the ball more than he passed against Lafayette, and Blake Harrell kind of indicated he was focusing on stopping the run and going to see if they could beat us in the passing game. So I'm hoping I'm hoping but I'm hoping David was wrong about the kid having such a great arm and being so accurate, because that might not be such a good plan if the kid's really accurate.
Well, I know when we shot the pre-portion of the coaches show on Monday, and Mike was telling us that he reminded him a lot of Edwards. He brought that up earlier, of the Appalachian State days. I mean, Sean Elliott, learned under one of the greats, Jerry Moore, and And he said it reminded me of the way that kid played. I was like, well, that's not good. Because I watched that kid go to the big house, man. No, I don't want to see any of that, right? So, yeah, I mean, he's athletic. That's obvious. But you got to be ready for both things. And I'm telling you right now, Harold, when Harold gets the pieces in there, it's really going to be something special to watch. I believe in the staff, and I'm you know me, you guys know me. I'm not a homer when it comes to, I've called out coaches that I didn't get along with, didn't agree with in the past, got in trouble for it, got kicked off a radio show for it. So, so you guys know that I try to be objective. I really like Mike a lot, and I love Blake. I think they've got it together, and I love these young guys. I mean, there are 54 new guys on your team. I mean, that's crazy, man. I mean, you flip that team over, and then you basically have this year as a trial run with all these kids because very few of them are going to bounce, and I'm talking about the ones you really wanted to stay, and you're going to have another year to work with them. And you're going to get more big guys in here, and the younger guys. They look big, they look strong. These running backs are so much fun to watch the other day, and they're true freshmen. And you get a chance to see them play and grow a year ahead of schedule, essentially, with the way this thing has happened. Not that that's a silver lining for this stupid virus we're having to deal with, because it sucks. But at the same time, there are some advantages you can get. You can really grow these kids in your system. And I think Mike will tell you, he's probably a couple of years away from where he thinks he can get it and then start really building this thing. But I believe he's going to do it. There's no microwaving anything with this guy. He's got a plan. He's got a vision. He's done it before. He's executed it before. And I think he's going to do it in Greenville. I really do.
Yeah, he's talking a lot about this week about the middle eight. The last 4 minutes of the second half and the first 4 minutes of last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half. Yeah. And that seems to be a big emphasis. I don't know if that's something he's really emphasizing all year, particularly with this game against Georgia State. But that's interesting. It'd be interesting how it plays out this week. If we win that portion of the game, if we close the first half well and start the second half well.
Yeah, and think about this. When you had 3 turnovers against UCF, one of the better teams in the nation, and you're only down 10-7. Now, the mentality on the sideline of the young guys, they don't know any better. But our older guys, once you get behind a little bit, you're not saying they're quitting, but it's hard to break that mentality when you've been beaten down for year after year after year, and it doesn't. You get down 2-3 touchdowns. Here we go again, and you can't help it. It's a culture thing, and I think that's something Mike, when he got into the team meeting, he mentioned this the other day on the show. He said, "I'm looking around, I'm seeing the older guys, and they actually were surprised that we were only down 10-7. They were thinking they thought it was more, because mentally they were thinking it was more. Because here we go again. We just turned the ball over again." But you're still right there in the game. You were playing. You were going toe to toe with them in the early stages of that football game. Were they as good as UCF? Clearly not. But they definitely were playing at a much better level than I think a lot of people thought. And the people who didn't watch the game and just saw the score, they didn't get a true test, or they didn't have their finger on the pulse of what was really going on. Because those guys you got a bunch of 10 freshmen played. True freshmen played in that game. There's a lot of youth out there. And I thought that, there were broken plays, but there were a lot of good plays. And I was encouraged by what I saw, and what I saw from the running game. When was the last time we didn't throw the ball 20 times and we ran it 50 plus? That's crazy, or complete 20 passes. We just didn't do what everybody thought we were going to do, which was chase them all day. We went out there when, Mike decided the second half he was going to run the football, and he did. And I think you're going to see Holton this week balance a little bit of that out. I think Holton's going to have a big game. I think these receivers are good. I really like them a lot. I do sound like a cheerleader right now, don't I? My gosh.
Well, UCF secondary, man. UCF secondary was, I believe they had everybody back. Bubba, is that right? That it was everybody back from last year, safeties, corners?
Yeah, UCF secondary, I think, according to Coach Smith, and from what I recall, it's 5 seniors in the secondary for UCF.
Mm-hmm.
That explains the passing game was.
And they were where they were supposed to be, where you saw a couple of busted plays from on our end. I mean, they start the game, and I'd say what Coach was smart. He got on those referees. He says what they're doing is illegal. They're false starting almost every time. First 4 – I've never seen that before. First 4 plays of the game weren't plays. They were false start, and yet they still marched right down the field and got first downs. And because, they're more experienced, obviously. But when you put guys out there who know what position where they're supposed to be, they're already ahead of the game. And then you put guys out there who have a lot of talent. Then you check 2 boxes. Now you got yourself a pretty good football team.
And I think when you were talking about Meador, with the very fact of the one thing that's been an issue and you follow the program extremely close, the biggest problem we've had was the depth issue. I mean, there's so many guys that you talk about the very thing of 54 guys, new guys on the team, that's unheard of. Just like with basketball, 11 new guys last year with Coach Dooley. I mean, things that, you got to get these guys in, and there's guys that are literally that just don't fit American talent, and they are just not working out as far as maybe that mentality, like you talked about. They're not winners, I guess, or they're
they don't have city speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. I can't let it go, man. I just can't let it go. They set us back 10 years. I can't let it go. Hey, no, you're spot on, man. And when I walked by the gym the other day, they have that door open to the practice facility, Williams practice facility over there with Dooley running his guys. And I walked in, I looked just to take a peek, and I was like, holy cow, that looks like a basketball team. These guys are big. And at every position, they're just bigger, they're stronger. And that's what Mike's doing. He's getting these younger guys in who already are bigger than what we've seen before in years. I mean, I always go back to those Skip Holtz teams from the conference championships, and I know there was a different standard to let kids in and that kind of thing back then. But look at those lines, man. Those guys were big. CJ and Linval and Jay Ross and Scotty. All those guys were big guys who looked the part, and they were a tough team to run on. They were a tough team to beat, period. And I think Mike likes that style. He wants to get to a bigger line, both sides of the ball. Obviously, every coach can say that, but he's actually executing a plan to get it done from what I've seen.
And when you bring in that many defensive linemen in one recruiting class, you're definitely working on building some depth on the D line, and it's going to pay off. I mean, you think about all these kids are young now. 2 years from now, they're going to be experienced football players, and you should have a pretty salty front seven. And guys, my video is completely frozen.
I thought you were just doing a really good job of
it's a ventriloquist
act.
Oh, here we go. We'll get the logo off your face there, Brian.
That's fine, man. It only helps you. Anybody watching, it only helps. Trust me.
So, see, Meador, one thing I want to get clear for people that not to be inside baseball, but the very fact that you work really hard on the show. I was thinking about you a few days ago about you see the Mike Houston show, and everybody goes, oh yeah, they watch it, and they don't realize how many hours that you put into it. It's just amazing, man.
And, and Brian Bailey's a big help with that show, and it's we got the new graphics package and all that stuff we have to build. And when I came over from Channel 7 years ago, we did it totally differently. I had to drive down to the station, even when I was at ECU. I had to drive down to the station and physically hand them a tape, and which was really kind of crazy when you think about it. And then we had a tape runner that had to run to Raleigh to give it to those folks. And now everything is nonlinear, it's digital. So it's just me sitting in front of either a laptop or a computer doing the show, where it used to be we were in a control room and you had one or two people in there doing the Chiron or the fonts, whatever you called it back then, the supers. You're doing all these things, whereas now, like, look at you guys. You guys can throw these things up and you do it yourself, and so you don't need two or three bodies to do it. So it's just me. And when I went to the SVG Awards in Atlanta a couple of years ago, we won for the baseball video that we did. When we went there, I was talking to the other schools, guys from Temple and some of our other conference schools, and they all had 3 and 4 people who worked on the show, plus another 2 or 3 students. I was like, huh? It's just me, man. It's just me. So, it's just me. I was all me by myself, but it's okay. But Brian helps a lot with a lot of the, obviously the on-air stuff, but he makes it easy, cares about it. He and Mike have a great chemistry. And so the way we're doing the show this year is we're sitting the two of them together on a couple of bar stools and just letting them talk. And it's very entertaining. It's not as rush after the game, because going on the road trips. I'm not going on the road this year. This is the first time I haven't gone on the road in East Carolina football. I can't remember how long it's been, at least 12 years. And I have not missed a home game in probably 25 years, but most home games. But I'm not going on the road. And so everything's changed. But the way we can do things now, I don't have to go on the road, because we're going to do the post game with Zoom. Just like everybody's used to this format now, So you guys are going to see Coach on the road. Somebody's going to have a laptop set up. He'll be sitting in an office somewhere when he gets done with the game. You guys are going to be sitting there talking to Coach just like you do after practice.
That's awesome. There's Kyle. He's back. He's not frozen anymore.
So, yeah, I have returned.
Hey, but Brian, you talk about Coach Houston's show. I know you were talking about the television show, but on Monday night, I know you know where I'm going with this.
I know where this is going.
Mike Houston's radio show, he and Double B were doing that in Talbank Tower, and they referenced an inadvertent tweet that you sent to Coach Houston.
It was
So
a text.
I'll let you take it from here.
It was a text. It was a text. And
sorry, I said tweet. Text.
Yeah. All right. So I'd been texting him Thursday night about some stuff, and we were going back and forth. And so the last person I had texted was him because I had talked to my girlfriend that night. And so the next morning, she's a teacher. She's getting up early in the morning. It's like 5. It was really early. And so I texted her. I said, all I said was, "Hey, beautiful. Have a great day. Love you." Oh, what a sweet guy. Come on, right? Within 10 seconds, I get back that face, that emoji with the big eyes. And I was like, looking at it. I'm looking up. I was like, no, this is, oh, crap. So her initials are MH. His initials are MH. And on the iPhone, as you know, on the middle and the top is your first two, your initials, your name. So I had texted Mike Houston, "Hey, beautiful. Have a great day. Love you." And so I said, "Oh, sorry." I said, "Coach, he's in there." You heard on the radio show, he was shaving. And he looks down, he sees the phone, and he just taps it. Wasn't even looking. He taps it and reads that. He says he's glad his wife wasn't standing next to him. He'd have been in trouble. Whose code name is Brian Meador, huh? So anyway, so I said to him, I responded. I said, "Nah, that was my girlfriend. You guys have the same initials." He said, "Yeah, stick with that story." And so I wish he told the rest of it, because then I fired back and said, "Well, I'm a big fan of yours, Coach, and you've got a really beautiful jawline, huh?" So that's the story. I called Coach. He said, gorgeous, I think, on the show was, "Hey, beautiful." Anyway, regardless, yeah.
That's classic.
Bailey had to bring it up on the show, and so turnabout is fair play, Meador. So you got any stories on Bailey?
I told this story a few years back on Morgan Ayler's radio show, and this is a true story. Bailey, I've told this story a bunch of times, and Bailey loves to say, "Yeah, that story's really exaggerated over the years." No, it's not. This is exactly what happened. It was the year that it was 2002, was it, when the Panthers went to the Super Bowl? 2003. Anyway, when they lost to the Patriots.
Yeah.
And so they beat the Cowboys in the first round, the wild card round, in Charlotte. And I went with Brian down there, and I was shooting the camera for him. And I got to tell you about Brian Bailey. Nobody gets more excited about a sporting event than that guy. He lives for it. That's why I had him on suicide watch this entire, because he's been like, "Man, I just want to do, man. I got something to do." Thank goodness we decided to do a show regardless of if we were going to play the season or not, right? So here we are. We're waiting, even though Dallas had just gotten their teeth kicked in, and he was a huge Cowboy fan, like I am, huge Cowboy fan. We're standing outside the locker room of the Panthers, and Bailey's in front of me, and we're first in line. And Bailey wanted to make sure he got in there because he wanted to go find Jake Delhomme and whoever else. And so we're ready to bust in, and we go in, and Bailey's all excited. He's got his big coat on because it's cold. He kind of looks like that kid from Christmas Story. He's all bloated, like falls over and can't get up. He's all he's got this march going. He's all happy with himself, and he turns and looks at me and says, "Man, this is great." Right when he did that, this sloppy, wet. It was like, imagine a jockstrap turned inside out with a pair of biker shorts. This big white pair of biker shorts, soaking wet, slaps him right in the face. And it wraps completely around his head like the alien. It was stuck to his face. And he's like, "Whoa." He pulls it off. It was the jockstrap and biker shorts of Kevin Donnelly, your offensive guard, who is a veteran for the Panthers, And he was trying to throw it into a laundry bin. And Bailey walked in front of it because they had just opened the doors. And whack, hits him right in the face. And he had man juice all over his face. There's no telling what was. He's spitting out Kevin Donnelly DNA, man. It was disgusting. So he's like, "Why?" So Donnelly comes running over. "Man, I'm so sorry. So I didn't see you coming in. The laundry bin's right there, man. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry." He goes, "Oh, it's okay. It's okay." Because Bailey's like, "No, doesn't happen. Nothing to see here. Move along." So we go. We do our interviews. Of course. The Super Bowl, they make it to the Super Bowl. So Bailey gets to go, and it's down in like Texas, somewhere like Houston maybe. So he goes down to Houston, Texas. Here it is a month later. It was almost a month later when they actually played the game. But Bailey says that I'm exaggerating. Almost a month later, on the first Super Bowl that guy ever played in, Kevin Donnelly sees Brian Bailey and walks over to him before the game and says, "Man, I'm really sorry about what happened back in Charlotte." I said, "Man, the locker room was laughing, and I felt bad, and I kid you, man, I know that was disgusting. I'm really sorry." And Bailey said, "Oh, it's no problem, no problem." He thought, he calls me and goes, "Hey, guess who just apologized to me?" Yeah, that story that I'm going to embellish over the next 15 years. You got it, buddy. So that's my best Brian Bailey, or one of my great Brian Bailey stories. An embarrassing one, if nothing else.
You know what? He got the apology at the Super Bowl. That's pretty good ending.
You're about to play in a Super Bowl and you see some guy you basically nut juice right in the face. because it was all wadded. It was. I mean, imagine that guy's in the trenches for 4 hours battling in an NFL game. That's some nasty stuff on there, man. You know what I'm saying? And Bailey took it all right in the face.
I can only imagine, and hopefully that's all I'll ever have to do is imagine that.
We have Meador on every week. Can you come over every week?
If I can come up with a story for you guys, I will.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah. So,
any good stories from the road on Friday night high school football when you were working with Bailey at WNCT?
Oh, wow. Yeah. We've had a few of them. I remember one night we got lost in Jacksonville. Woody Spencer was a photographer who used to go with me. We used to have this thing called the Road Warriors, and the two of us would go out and get into all kinds of mischief. And we got lost on Lejeune, on Camp Lejeune. We went to see, I guess it was Camp Lejeune was playing. Lejeune was playing somebody, and we got lost. We couldn't find our way out of there. And we got lost. I was editing in the back of the live truck. Woody got lost. So we saw that night. We saw, he said it was a wolf. I don't know. It looked like a dog, but anyway, he called it a wolf. We did see a black bear. We saw a couple of deer and a skunk on these back little roads all around in Lejeune. We finally made it off base. Back then, it was a little easier to get on and off base. This is back in the mid-late 90s. Yeah, right, exactly. So you didn't have to stop and check in and do all that. You just got waved through, more or less. But that was a strange night. But the one thing I missed when I left TV was high school football. Man, it was so much fun. Especially in Eastern North Carolina. These regional schools. We got all these high schools out in the middle of nowhere.
Exactly.
So going up in places like Bertie County, Hertford. Those places were so much fun. To go and find a story, see a great athlete who then goes on and becomes a great pirate. Terrence Copper is one of the first stories I ever did. He's down with the Pan Pack in Washington. I went down there and did a story on him. He was maybe a sophomore at the time, and he wanted to go to East Carolina. And sure enough, a couple of years later, and he was one of our better wide receivers we've ever had come through. So those are the stories I really remember. And it's so hard right now because I don't know these kids. These 54 new kids that are here, I don't know them because we haven't. You guys know you're not allowed to talk to them. We're not allowed to go out there and see them and get to know them. And my job for all these years has been to help guys like you, Kyle, get to know them, interview them, put them on TV, put them online, so you get a chance to see who they are. And we can't do that right now. And it's frustrating because I don't know these kids. And I usually know maybe by the time they get to be sophomores, I know them. And I get a good read on whether or not they're going to be good pirates, good students, good people. And we've had some great ones come through, and it's been really hard not knowing these kids. I mean, I know Holton, obviously. I've watched Holton since he was a little baby. I love Holton. He's a terrific kid. He's as quality as a football player. He's even a better human being. I'm a really big fan of that kid.
Now, you worked at WITN for a while, too, and our previews kind of turned into the Brian Meador career. But you worked at WITN for a while, too, with Billy Weaver. You got any stories on Billy? Billy always used to take himself very seriously.
No, he does. No, that's now. Believe me, I've had more fun on the road with that guy. Stories I can't get into because he's all right now because his wife they're divorced, so he could probably tell you some of those stories. I'm kidding. I'm not, but I'm not. I am. I'm not. We went down to Daytona one year, and oh my gosh, we were there for the entire week, and I didn't know any better. This was my first time going, and we would go every year. Because the Daytona 500 I think was on NBC, so we would go down for the week, and so my first time going, I had no idea this was the Billy Weaver scam because it was his vacation week. What he did was the first day we get there, we shot like 8 stand-ups, and then we used them to run. We had all these can pack. We didn't go back. We got there on Sunday maybe. We didn't go back to the track until the 2 races on Thursday, and then on Sunday. So we were only there 2 days outside of the first day we were there, and we turned in all these features, and everybody's praising us for how good we're, And I had no idea that's the scam, and all we did was hit the nightclubs, and I'll tell you this one story. Weaver drags me into this shady looking strip club. I'm not a strip club guy. I never had been. Whatever. But yeah, what the heck, Weaver? I'll roll with you, brother. I got your wing. I got your back. We'll do this. So we go in. And we see this commotion on the front left. And there were these guys just making it rain for this lady. This is a true story. Get Billy to tell you anytime. She's about 70.
Oh, my God.
She's got tassels on her front. She's about 70. It gets worse. She has a stump leg. The stump leg has a platform shoe on it.
Are you serious, dude?
I'm dead serious. I swear. And she has no arms from here down. She had hooks. I'm not making this up, man. I've Googled to try to
Sounds
find
like a pirate.
I mean, really, right? So we now look into these guys. They're all down the front, and they're making it rain because they want to watch her scoop it up with her hook. And she would take the hook. And one of the other strippers came. It wasn't like a full nudity kind of place, but one of the strippers came and sat down. Was trying to get a lap dance with Weaver because she could tell that I ain't into it. He was. Anyway, so Weaver says, "Does that woman make good money?" She's like, "Oh my gosh, she only works 3 days a week. She makes 10 times as much as the rest of us. Look at her; she's over there killing it. I mean, good for her. You know, she found something she could do and liked doing it. And watching her wrap around the pole with her hooks and swing. Oh man. So yeah, there's one Weaver's going to kill me for, but it happened.
Arrgh.
So how much did Weaver tip her?
Right? No, Weaver didn't. He's cheap.
He didn't.
We watched from afar. I didn't want to go near it, man. And besides, they didn't need our money. Those guys that were over there, they were making it rain for that woman. That's probably the craziest thing I can remember. That was Daytona that year, the first time I'd ever been there. I was like, wow, man, Daytona's off the hook.
Nice.
Man.
Weaver's just going to love the fact that you outed him that he enjoys going to strip clubs. And,
that was the old Weaver. That was the old
one to Daytona with a
get him to describe her. Get it seriously. When you see Weaver, you tell, hey, tell me about this stripper in Daytona. He'll go right into it.
With the hook arms and the peg leg.
She had a blue platinum wig on. That was probably the best part, not the hooks or the platform shoe or her age. It was the blue platinum hair. True story.
Oh my gosh,
that's fantastic.
You can't make that stuff up, man. You can't make that stuff.
I can't even try. I can't even try to be that funny, man. It happened. We lived it.
Well, I tell you what, I feel like that with Coach Mike Houston, we're going to have a lot of good times. And how long do you think that with the ruling, hopefully this month, now it is October, that we won't have to worry about wins and loss totals for as far as going to a bowl game? What do you think on that?
You guys probably know more than me. I mean, I didn't think we'd see. I hate that we're losing potential wins in the when we lose the North State game. And I know you can only count. What is this year we count? We could have counted 2, right? Can't you file for a waiver or something like that?
Well, and that all is going to be changed, and that's what David's alluding to. The NCAA is going to look at a proposal about win totals for bowl games for this year being waived. So basically, there may not be a minimum win total for 2020 to go to a bowl.
And I'll bet you'll see a lot of regional matchups too. You'll probably see they'll forego maybe a lot of the conference, whatever, and just let's see these two guys go at it, and it's less travel. And I hope we get to that point. I hope we have a chance at something like that because we'll travel. We're starving for it. I don't care where it is. I'll go. And
maybe a little East Carolina, Coastal Carolina, and the Myrtle Beach Bowl, the first year Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Yeah, what was it? Terry Holland wanted to. He pitched this whole idea. I forget what he called it. He wanted to do it in Charleston, and he wanted to have.
That Myrtle Beach Bowl is a real thing.
I know, but I'm talking about what and it may have been because of what he wanted to get a whole pirate armada of ships to go down the coast toward Charleston, and he thought this great idea that he had. And Terry was something else, man. I miss that guy. I haven't seen him in a while, but I miss that guy. He was a class act and a fun guy to talk to for sure.
And he had some ideas, and he was a forward thinker. And the thing about Holland is it didn't matter who you were. If you emailed him, he'd email you back. And if you had ideas, he thought he would listen to everybody. If you had a good idea, he'd take it and run with it because he used some of mine.
Yeah.
And that to me is a good leader. If you're not, if you realize that you can have input from all sides. And just because somebody might not be in a position where you think that they should be giving you their opinion or their ideas on things, you need to listen to them sometimes because they might have some pretty damn good ideas. And to me, that's what a leader does. You get stuff from all around you, and you don't,
Especially guys who've been here a long time and have seen things, because history repeats itself. We all know that. There's so many cliches that fall in line. When you have somebody coming from the outside and they've got it all figured out, like what's his name? When he rolled into town, he had it all figured out, and what happened? It didn't go well because he didn't listen, and he wouldn't listen to people on the inside, and that was it's hard to follow something like that, and especially when you're not willing to learn the lay of the land,
No, Comfort had all the answers. He was going to run things just like he did at NIU, and East Carolina and Northern Illinois are two totally different places, and you can't do things the same way here as you did there. And here's the thing about it: when we hired Jeff Comfort, first thing I did was go to the Northern Illinois message board, and I didn't see one post
saying, "Oh God, we just lost our athletic director." Every one of them were saying good riddance. And when you got an AD who just took you to the Orange Bowl and you're saying good riddance, something ain't good.
Yeah, I'd love to piggyback on that all day, but you need another hour for this show. So now
we need to have a.
You know, I ran my mouth pretty hard in the early going, and I had to stop, obviously. And I don't regret things I've said because I know they were true to me at the time. I may have been wrong, man. I've been wrong a lot. You know, I'm wrong all the time, and I've been right on a lot of things too along the way. And when I've been here a long time. Brian Bailey's been here a long time. Brian Bailey's probably knows more. He's been locked and loaded in this place for a long time. Just call him up and ask him. Sit down with him. You know, one of the first things he ever told me when I started working as an intern in '95, I was like, man, I love East Carolina. I love being a part of this whole thing. He said, one thing about ECU, man, he said, if you ever want to get a loan from a bank, you wait till East Carolina wins on a Saturday and you go on Monday. Because he said the whole mood of this town, it like vibrates at a better frequency when East Carolina football does well. It just does. And so, circling back to what we opened and talked about, man, we got to get this win Saturday. And I think Vegas, you guys are spot on. Vegas has no clue what's going to happen out there. None. We could go win by 3 touchdowns, and people will go, well, there you go. There's your difference in talent level from the American. And let's see how these schools that are ranked or from the Sun Belt are kind of ranked. We'll see how they really do against opponents from the what the American likes to call the P6. So it's going to be a good gauge for where we really are. For me, I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to try to really narrow down, if there's a mistake here or there that costs us the win, okay, but did we play well? Are we winning in the trenches? Are we, is Holden playing well? I mean, are our receivers getting separation and looking good? It's going to be, to me, this is a really important game for us.
Yeah, and I don't really know if this is going to come into play because I really don't know how you use it to motivate your players. But Sean Elliott wanted to be the head coach at East Carolina when we hired Scotty Montgomery, and it's an interesting fault because he's done a good job. I think he would have been a hell of a better coach than Scotty Montgomery based on the fact he's taken Georgia State to 2 bowls in 3 years. But I really don't know how he uses that. I heard a lot of people say he's really motivated for this game and he wanted to play East Carolina and he's got this one circled because of him wanting to be the head coach here in the past. But how do you use that to motivate your players? Well, what do you tell your players? I'd rather be coaching those guys instead of you. Go beat them. I mean, the only thing I could think of is maybe you go, hey, you know how you wanted to go to Georgia Tech? You know how you wanted to go to Georgia? You know how you wanted to go to Florida State and you ended up at Georgia State? I wanted to be the head coach at East Carolina. Remember how you felt when we beat Tennessee last year? That's how I'll feel if we beat East Carolina. I'm not trying to give him any ideas, but that's the only thing I can think of.
That's pretty smart, man, because I would have stayed away from it altogether if I'm trying to motivate them. I would say, they think we want to be who they are in their conference. They're going to roll
according to their dude, they do.
Man, well, they deserve to be, right? Just like we deserve to be. What we deserve to be that
Big 12.
The Big 12. We deserve to be there, huh?
Yeah.
What? What? No. Stop. Let's deserve to be where we are first. Let's earn that chip and that chair, which we've not done yet, and not for any length of time. So, I don't know, man. I look at this game and I think to myself, all right, who is this again? How long they've been playing football? How many people have seat in their stadium? Okay, year in and year out, we should throttle these guys in where I think East Carolina football should be. But that's not where we are. That's not where we are, man. We're nowhere near that right now.
No.
But we're heading in the right direction, and maybe it'll come a little earlier than even Mike thinks. He said 2 years to me many times. I'm not talking this year. He was last year was 3. We were 3 years. I needed a couple of really good recruiting classes in here. I got to get him the way I want him. I got to coach him the way I want him. I want him in the right place. I want him doing the right things. But I want the talent and the size to also match those things. And he feels like he's 2 years. Then that doesn't mean we're throwing away this year or next year. Why can't we go to a bowl this year? Why can't we go to a bowl next year? And then where he thinks we'll be is contending for a championship. And that's what we all want. So, I mean, how good did it feel when Skip Holtz called all the fans down that day in 2009? It was incredible, man. It was incredible. I don't care who it is. We're playing. That was an incredible day, and we need those. We need that again. And I know this town needs it. This Eastern North Carolina needs it. And I would love to see it. Because we've had a rough go of it the last 5 years, man. It's been rough. From campus to administration and everything else, man. It's been a mess. It's been rough. And I'd love for something right to get the wind behind the sails of this thing. Let's get going again.
Yeah, you got people like John Gilbert and Ryan Robinson and other guys in the administration. who really don't even know what East Carolina is. They have not experienced what we really are. They haven't seen us have an 8-9 win season, or even hell of a 6 or 7 win season. They haven't seen us roll in and beat a ACC school, and they haven't been a part of all that. I think the administration that's here now, it's going to be shocked at how the vibe changes just like that when we start winning.
Oh, you're right, and I hate it for. I had a great intern. He was not really an intern, but he worked with us. Ethan Britt's his name. Great video kid. He just graduated. He saw crap football. I mean, he saw some shitty football over the last 4 years, and it sucked. And I hated it for him. I was like, man, I'm telling you, man, I'm talking about all these great things. I got all this stuff in my office, the Peach Bowl stuff and Liberty Bowl stuff and Skip Holtz this and Rough that, and he saw crap, and I hate it for him that he graduated from East Carolina without having experienced that. And I'm telling you, man, a lot of when we were investing in our football program, we were investing in more than the program. I got into Wilmington. I got into East Carolina. I chose East Carolina because of football, period. I wanted to be a part of that game day. Just those 6 days a year, man. That's all I wanted, be tailgating, be a part of that. And then what did I get? I got rewarded, the Peach Bowl, man. And then 2 Liberty Bowls. I got to go to one, and we beat Stanford. That was incredible. I mean, my gosh, I was hooked, man. And I hate that we've had kids who graduate right now who would probably still be a part of East Carolina moving forward. They would join the Alumni Association. They would come to games, be season ticket holders. And when you experience that stuff, you want to keep getting that drug, man. You want to keep getting into it because that's what it is.
You're right. And right now, we had a kid that helped us last year with the podcast who's still a student in East Carolina. He's a senior this year, named Brennan Shapiro. And Brennan, went to the East Carolina, North Carolina game in 2014 with his brother, who's a student at UNC, and fell in love with Pirate football that day in 2014.
Yeah.
And, man, what a ripoff he's gotten as he's been here.
Right.
That's why he decided to come to East Carolina once he graduated because of that 2014 game. Boy, he said he felt like he was sold a bill of goods. Yeah.
You go from watching Shane Carden flexing with the Pirate state of mind on his bicep and beating on those ACC teams, and and then all of a sudden, we got to beat UConn 3 straight times. Yay! I mean, what? Come on, man. You guys have got Sutton Young doing great stuff for you, and I hope before he leaves here, because he's very passionate. That kid loves from East Carolina. I hope he gets a taste.
Well, I think Sutton's like Bubba. He's been watching Pirate football since he was in the womb, so he's already experienced it as a baby and coming up. But it's funny talking about wins and losses. Bubba and I were talking about this the other day, Meador, and it's hard to believe, but being Georgia State coming off of a bowl appearance last year. Mm-hmm. They beat Tennessee last year. They beat Troy. They beat Arkansas State, 7-win football team. They have a ton of starters back. This is going to sound ridiculous, but it's true. Now, we beat North Carolina in 2018. They weren't worth a crap that year. We beat BYU in 2017. They weren't worth a crap that year. In terms of a quality football team, this will be the best team we've beaten since NC State in 2016. That's unbelievable.
Couldn't agree more. And could you imagine rewinding the clock back to 2016 that day and say, all right, we just beat NC State. Hey, guess what? You're going to go 4 years without being a quality opponent. 4.
Yep. Unreal.
And it's astounding. Astounding. So, yeah, and that quality opponent you got a chance to beat is Georgia State. Are you kidding me? That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's how some of our fans this week who have been predicting a blowout and who
I know.
State. And I'm like, are you serious? Did you check their record? Look and see who they've beaten recently versus who we've beaten recently. I mean, and here's the scary part to me is, the fact that we are an American Conference team, they probably will be fired up to play us like we are a big name opponent. And sometimes, man, that ain't good when you ain't. I don't know if we're not very good this year, but I'm not sure we're used to having the X put on us where somebody's targeting us, and we may be, and neither are they though. Neither are they, and I think we're going to be. I guess we're both kind of the hunted this week.
Yeah, I think you're right, and when I hope that Mike is able to get these kids. I mean, our kids may be looking at that. What conference are they in? Who are they?
Have you seen that state play? That should be all they need to know.
When he made the comment about, do you even know how to get to Boone? I was like, do you know how many times I've heard that from a visiting school? We didn't know where the heck we were going, trying to find Greenville. And I used to work.
I knew where we were when they left back in those days.
You're right about that, buddy. And I used to work as a security guard at High Street Yale. It was Yale back then, and while I was in school. And these overnight, and these trucks would be coming in. They'll say, "Yeah, I'm on Interstate 77 coming on in. Where do I need to go?" And I said, "Across the state. You're in Greenville, South Carolina, buddy. This is Greenville, North Carolina." That happened probably a dozen times, man.
Oh my God, how
they had
frustrating was
deadlines
that?
to me. Yeah, they go to the wrong state. They're in South Carolina. That happened several times, and it's kind of an old joke. Good luck finding Greenville. Well, you're damn right. When you left, you knew where you were. Back then, you did anyway. So we got to get back to that mentality.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Hey, Meador, it's going to be a great game, and certainly. By the way, can I be the? Can I be like an agent for Sutton Young? Is he somebody that you could take under your wing there? And
I already working with Sutton. As soon as they open up and let us do more things with him, I hooked him up with Bria Stith, a younger sister from in the Stith family, and a daughter as well, and that terrific basketball family. But she started working with him this past week, and I think they're going to do some really special things. And I hope we get the students to come back in. And Sutton's he works hard. He's got a good heart, and he's got talent, man. He's going to be good. So.
No question.
I just hope he has some good stuff to talk about. I told him, man, when you're doing your stand-up, smile. It opens you up, and you'll feel better when you're giving them. But sometimes the news isn't fun to talk about, so
Well, we haven't had a lot to smile about, but I tell you what, I think we will. And you were talking about. I'll leave you with this. You were talking about certainly with Coach Houston with now with the extra year of eligibility. That means Holton will be here 21 and 22, and we have Garcia. And we have all the. I mean, the future's pretty bright, man.
Think about the records these bunch of kids are going to break with those extra games. If we play all the games this year, and Tyler Snead, for example, all he has to do is average 7 catches a game to catch Zay. 7 a game. Wow. That's crazy. We could have 1, 2, 3 in history, and that's something he can do. He only had 2 against UCF, but if it's 12, 12, 12, he'll have 3 more years. Because his 4 games, didn't count as a true freshman, and then this season would have been his freshman year, not going to count. He's going to get another 3 years, or his sophomore year. 3 years he's going to get. So now you're looking at 36 games plus 9 this year. That's 45 games. So do the math, man. And that kid's got a chance. I hate to put that out there so early, but just think about the number. I mean, Verity's going to get the all-time scoring record. There's no question about that. If he stays healthy, he'll get that. I will say this, and I hate to bring it up because I absolutely love Warren Harvey. He's a friend of mine. His older brother's a really good friend of mine. But Kevin Miller is the all-time leading scorer at East Carolina because he had 30 points in bowl games. Back then, they didn't count points, and it's up to the media relations people to go back and add them in if they choose to do so. Most schools have done that. East Carolina has not. Warren had 287 points. Warren had 300, like right at 300. 287 is what Kevin Miller had. He had 30 points in the bowl game. That puts him at 3. So he's a good friend of mine. I've always been advocating for Kevin because he's my boy. But anyway, he's the all-time leading scorer. So Verity has to get to 318 for me to recognize him as the all-time leading scorer. Is my point.
Great. Kevin Miller was a great kicker and a great golfer. Bubba is apparently gone and not coming back, Dave. So we'll let Meador play the part of Bubba Rosenbaum as we do our predict the score.
I'm here, Kyle. I'm here.
Oh, Bubba's here. Bubba. Okay, well then we'll do that later. Meador, what's your score for the game?
I think we're going to be up a field goal late in this game, and I think the defense is going to do something. I think we're going to win this game. You're going to look at it and go, no, we win by 10. I think we're going to get a big turnover or something late in the game and put it away. I think the Pirates are going to win this game 38-30, 38-28, somewhere along that ballpark.
I'll take it.
I'm also optimistic. I predicted us to lose by 17 last week or 20. Yeah, and I said East Carolina was going to cover the spread, but they were going to lose the football game, about close to the spread. Is what I said.
I predicted 52-31, so I almost nailed it.
Yeah, what did you say? 52-31.
Yeah, that was
darn good, man.
Nailed it, yeah.
You were all over it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What do you think, Kyle?
We're going to go ahead and do ours now. Okay. I thought since Bubba was back, we'd wait. I'm going to go Pirates get the Vic, but it ain't going to be easy. I'll say, I'm going to say East Carolina 37, Georgia State 34. They lose another one on the field goal.
I'll say 35. I'm going to say Holton has a big day. We won't even need Verity. I'm saying 35-31 East Carolina.
41-31 Pirates.
Oh, wow. 41. Woo.
Well, we all agree Holton's going to have a day then. right?
Yeah, I think Holden's going to light it up. I like that kid, and
I do too. Love that kid.
You know, yeah, I think he's going to have a really big day. So, Meador, I hate that you can't be down there, but obviously, I guess they'll give you more time to work on the show, right?
I'll be in the control room recording it, and then I'll put together the game highlights after the fact. So we're using Jeff Charles' radio calls for the game highlights instead of having Coach talk over top of it, just for timing. Yeah. So I'll be at the stadium in the control room with Jeff Charles and Kevin Monroe. That's where those guys will be. They will not be in Atlanta. They will be here in Greenville doing the game. So that's how it's going to be for this year.
All right.
It is what it is. Meador, thanks, buddy. Appreciate
guys.
you.
Hey, appreciate you guys. Keep it up,
Hope
guys.
you'll come back on.
I will, man.
All right, man. Have a good one. I see you. All right, Brian Meador, that was a lot of fun. And I know, Bubba, we're running a little over, so we got another great interview, right?
Yeah, we do. Ben Moore from Panther Talk, Georgia State's 24/7 site. He was going to join us tonight. He and his wife were celebrating their anniversary, though, so congratulations to them. But we had that interview. Jay Sonhalter and I recorded that this afternoon a little before 4 o'clock, talked the game for about 20 minutes and as well as some other things. Excellent interview. You can tell Ben just does a terrific job for Panther Talk. He's been with the program since its inception back in April of 2008, as far as when the program was founded and started. And then their first season of competition, of course, came in 2010 when they went 6-5 in the FCS ranks under Bill Curry. But let's go ahead and go to that right now. And we'll be back here in about 20 minutes to close out the show. But for right now, enjoy this with Ben Moore of Panther Talk. We'll be traveling to Atlanta to take on the Georgia State Panthers, and this will be the first football game for East Carolina in Atlanta since 1992, on January 1st of 92, when the Pirates collected that memorable win over NC State, and just the second game played there overall in the program's history. And right now, to talk about that matchup with the Panthers, very excited to welcome in from PantherTalk.com, Georgia State's 24/7 sports site, Ben Moore. Ben, welcome to the program.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, fellas. Thanks a lot.
Pretty cool. Yeah, really looking forward to this matchup. Coach Elliott's done a tremendous job. 2 bowl appearances in 3 seasons, 7 wins in each of those years, with the down year in between. But really has done a nice job with the program. What is still an extremely young program, 11th season, I think this is now, and 8th or 9th at the FBS level. And so Coach Elliott and his staff seem to have things really trending in the right direction. What's your take on the 2020 Panthers?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, there's not a ton of unknowns that came into this season. Very veteran laden program on both sides of the football, and we kind of have a mantra that pretty much in covering football, and it all starts up front. The offensive line, Panthers returned 4 of the 5 starters from 2019. Including really the strength of their offensive line right up the middle. You've got probably multiple NFL prospects there, Malik Sumter at center and Shamarius Gilmore at guard. But it's been interesting to see the development, and certainly with COVID and ECU's have to deal with it just like Georgia State has. You've had games postponed, you've had games completely canceled. So they're looking forward to playing at home again. Certainly coming off the bumpy road last Saturday, where we had some false tests and false positives get there, but expectations have certainly increased dramatically. The biggest thing last year with the Panthers, they started out going 6-2 in the first 8 games, lose their starting quarterback. I say physically lose him to injury, but he still continued to play with just unbelievable effort, and but stumbled to go 1-4 down the stretch to finish the season 7-6. They really were just shells themselves offensively. The final 5 games of the season, and still we're 12th in the country in rushing. So that's really the mantra of a Sean Elliott coach team. He coached offensive line at the University of South Carolina, and it has really overhauled that offensive line in the years that he's been here. This team will run the football and come right at you. They put up 50 rushing attempts in their first game against Louisiana. Of course, the memorable win last year against the University of Tennessee, I believe they had 53 rushing attempts as well. So they want to run the ball. They have athletes all over the place, and certainly as we dive into more of the game itself. They get a few athletes back this weekend that weren't playing in game one. So should be a fun matchup. Excited to see all the ECU fans in the buildings. Many can make it down as well. That always leads to a great atmosphere for the folks that'll be in the building.
Yeah, but Ben, what is the allowed capacity for the game on Saturday?
Yeah, the state of Georgia basically has kind of put a cap of about 20%. So if you kind of do the math, it's about 5,000 is the cap. So you have that number split between season ticket holders for Georgia State. Of course, it does include students that will be in the building. You know, you do have the marching band, cheerleaders are included in that number as well, and then the visiting fans. So kind of how you have the pie divided. And you know, I think they announced right around 4,100 for the Louisiana game, and it's kind of one of those things too where you just wonder how many students. You know, of course, masks are required. They have social distancing protocols in place and no tailgating and things like that. So it's been interesting to see how that's going. It's about the same percentage that Georgia Tech and the University of Georgia have done the same. They've a lot of the schools, I won't say they've necessarily communicated with each other, but they're following each other's lead in that, and with the hope. As the calendar certainly turns to October here, that as the percentages go down in the state of Georgia, I believe last total I saw was down 18% month to month. So as things improve and get better, certainly with cases of COVID-19 in the state of Georgia, larger crowds and things, more folks being allotted into the building. So, but in terms of Saturday, it's going to look like about 5,000 spread out over a lower level that probably can hold about 24,000.
Yeah, Ben, you talk about Pirate Nation coming down, making that trip, be it from the greater Charlotte area where we have a lot of alumni or wherever in the southeast, Greenville or otherwise. But it's a shame that this game can't have the capacity that it would have, because I really think East Carolina was probably, brought a few thousand down because, like I mentioned in the open, this is only the second time we've ever played in Atlanta, and the only other time was in that Peach Bowl way back on January 1st of '92.
Yeah, and it's such an easy trip, and that's I think the biggest thing that we've continued to see. And then certainly when the game was announced and the contract had been signed, I was personally excited to see it. I know ECU has a strong fan presence, as you mentioned, across the Southeast, and then being an easy, drivable game, it certainly would add to the atmosphere. And, it has been interesting to certainly through game one and watching games, with GSU not in action, just to see how certain places and states are handling it. It's still a college atmosphere, but it can, be a little bit lighter with, not a ton of fans in the building. And the other side too, Georgia State, has is thankful to have the former Turner Field where the Braves play, so you have folks in suites. But a lot of those folks who own the suite are a little bit older in that medically fragile, age frame too. So I think you have that part of it where I walked around briefly 2 Saturdays ago just checking in some of the suites, and they were pretty sparse. You can hold, I believe, up to 20 people in the suites, and so you have that as a factor as well. So I think slowly but surely, hopefully, folks will come back, and hopefully we'll see some more folks in the building on Saturday.
And Ben, you talked earlier about last year and kind of the growth of this program. But I know many people really saw how good Georgia State is and can be after that Tennessee game. What did that win do for the program and really help catapult them?
Yeah, it was just a seismic. I mean, it's just earthquake of a victory. And I thought the both players and coaches direct after that game did make the trip up to Knoxville and witnessed that one live. Just the validity of the program and the credibility, and really just they have come up close a couple times in playing some Power 5 opponents. Went up to Wisconsin when they were ranked, had a lead in the fourth quarter, and succumbed to the Badgers a little bit late in that game. They played. What's just kind of interesting, some of their better halves of football have been against Power 5 opponents. They had a 14-0 lead against Washington a few years ago out west. I think put up 28 or 30 points against Oregon a few years as well. So they've played in spurts well. It's just they really put together the whole package there at Tennessee, and I think more than anything else, the nation kind of got put on notice about the Sun Belt in general, and certainly we've seen that flow over into 2020 It's not really anything new for folks who covered the league. Troy's beaten LSU a couple of years before. Of course, they won the national championship last year. You've got South Alabama beat Missouri. Just the league as a whole, they have kind of picked this up as well, and I think Georgia State as well has picked tried to hold that mantle and really go out there and send a shot across the bow in the state where Tennessee recruits a ton. Of course, folks here the vast majority of the state cheer for the University of Georgia. That's a state institution. So it certainly was something to say, hey, Georgia State can go knock off the team in the SEC and really land that punch and really, as you guys mentioned, only being 10 years old last year and having that really super signature win just put on the resume and build and recruit and come off that.
Hey, Ben, let's hone in on the offense a little bit. You referenced head coach Sean Elliott in terms of his background on being an offensive line coach. You talked about his time at South Carolina. Prior to that, he was, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15 years, something like that, at his alma mater at App State. Really did great things there, winning 3 straight FCS titles and taking down Michigan, a victory that everyone remembers, anybody that follows college football closely. And during that time there, Brad Glenn, I know he developed an association with him. So just talk about the way the Panthers go about things offensively. And I know you have a very talented quarterback in Cornelius Quad Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. Brad Glenn came in last year, 2019. Really wanted to install, kind of and really, really nailed down a dual threat quarterback. The Panthers certainly had a lot of turnover at quarterback, lost 3 scholarship quarterbacks in the offseason between 2018 and 2019, but just had a stable, talented running back led by Trey Barnett, who set records last season. And this season, you have a little bit younger guys that were kind of waiting in the wings, but are really talented, as you saw in game 1. Destin Coates running for 150 yards on 34 carries. This week, Seth Page, who was the Panthers' second leading rusher last year, who suffered an injury right about mid-season, is expected to be back. Probably going to be a game-time decision on Saturday, but he's a guy that they kind of like as that thunder and lightning. But they, as they put rushing numbers up, they do want to pass the ball as well. Cornelius Brown is a very gifted deep passer. In game, his first ever start, missed a couple throws, has some opportunities to go down the field. The Panthers also boast basically 2 of the Sun Belt's best tight ends in Roger Carter and Aubrey Payne, and they're more than willing to catch balls as well, as Roger Carter caught a touchdown pass against Louisiana. So they're very balanced in terms of where they can hit teams. They can work off the play action, and as great as Dan Ellington was in 2019, Quad Brown is about 3 inches taller than Dan, so he can certainly get out and move. Not quite, I would say, in terms of as fleet of foot, but Brown can get out certainly and move around. And I think there is some expected growth certainly from game 1 to game 2 in his starting experience.
Then flipping over the other side of the ball, what's your analysis of the defense been so far this year? And with ECU, really the strength of their team is the skill positions on offense. How do you look at that matchup for the weekend?
Yeah, that's where the ball game lies, in my opinion. It really does. Georgia State came out really aggressive. Gifted Louisiana Raging Cajun team that certainly had knocked off, I think number 23 at the time, Iowa State came in and has some big skill position players as well, and forced them to go 3 and out the first 3 possessions of the game. And that's been the biggest question mark under Sean Elliott. He brought in Nate Fuqua, who was the DC and longtime DC at Wofford, and that's really been the area where a lot of folks just circle, and the Panthers just have been really bad. One of the worst teams in the country against the run. They've regressed tremendously against the pass over the last 3-4 years. And after of course Elliott took it over, so the offense certainly has risen and gotten a whole lot better, but the defense has taken steps back. There were moments, in game 1 against Louisiana, that the Panthers defense, while it returned, I believe, every single leading tackler and leading pass rusher, there was not a whole lot of attrition off that defense. There have been two impact freshmen who have actually jumped in, and Jeffrey Clark on the defensive end side of the ball, and Antavius Lane, a guy who is expected to play another huge role basically at safety as well, who he's nicknamed the hit stick. He had 9 tackles, forced fumble, and just seems to be around the football. So you're definitely seeing the talent level increase defensively. There's still guys that are missing tackles and out of position and things like that, which have been a concern. You just would certainly hope that those things get cleaned up. If not, certainly there's athletes on the Pirate squad that can take advantage of that in a big way.
Yeah, Ben, when I was looking at the depth chart when it came out a couple days ago, you referenced Jeffrey Clark and Antavius Lane. Those were the only guys on that side of the ball that were not juniors and seniors, and at least in a starting position. And then even in the 2 deeps, there was not a whole lot of youth.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, and that's why expectations certainly have risen on that side of the ball. As I mentioned, the defensive coordinator has been here as long as Sean Elliott has, and really only one other position coach has been along as well as that safety coach, Chris Collins. So those guys have been in place. Their players have been in place. They weren't able to generate a ton of pass rush. Against Louisiana, they had a little bit more of a mobile quarterback there. So I'm interested to see if things change up a little bit. Whether they blitz from all 3 levels, get some linebackers involved. But the biggest thing, I think, the storyline for me to watch, Jameis Williams, transfer from South Carolina, has been cleared by the NCAA. He was practicing this week in anticipation of playing. He's an unbelievable athlete. I don't believe he started. He played quite a few games there at South Carolina as a freshman. Got injured last season, but has legit elite speed. A guy that can really be in that rover free safety position, move around, and the Panthers are expected to use him in the punt return and kick return game as well. So he could be an impact guy that wasn't necessarily on the depth chart, but that was a recent thing that he got cleared and has been practicing with the first and second team there, from what I hear.
Talking about some more of the personnel, I don't think you've referenced these guys yet. I apologize if you have. But you talked about how, and I know you mentioned this name, Antavius Lane, and how he led the team with 9 tackles. You also had inside backer Blake Carroll, 6'1", 225, had 8 tackles. And then you had Quavian White, a junior corner, and also Victor Hayward, a senior outside backer. Both of those guys had picks against the Raging Cajuns.
Yeah, I mean, they're very active. The Panthers' front 7 is built a little bit smaller, built for speed. Want to get guys out and go sideline to sideline and be aggressive that way. Of course, as later as the ball game goes, is what happened in the Louisiana game. You get beat up a little bit with a power running attack, and then of course the Panthers fell in overtime to the Raging Cajuns. But Blake Carroll stepped up. He's kind of been in the wings. In the rotation several years. Quavian White's been a guy who really started since his freshman year, so he's got a ton of college football experience under his belt. Kind of took the knock as a young guy, but he's continued to get better. Clinched a game-winning interception basically last season against a very tough Army team. That we certainly see the Army doing big things this season. So those guys have played a ton. Ant Lane has not. So he had his first ever taste of college football 2 Saturdays ago. But I think the best news for him, where he can kind of roll around and rove and move around, whether they utilize him as a blitzer, utilize him as a guy that drops back deep there in that back third. Right to his right is Chris Moore, a graduate transfer from the University of Virginia. So you have a guy that's played a ton of college football, been around 4.5 full seasons basically, around college football, next to a guy who's a freshman that can kind of go and improvise. So it's an interesting mix between those guys, but definitely the strength of the program is right up the middle. And a guy I also want to highlight, played probably about 20-25 snaps in game 1, and certainly will play a little bit more as he continues to go. The North Carolina transfer, Kyle Wright, an inside linebacker, one of the biggest linebackers that the Georgia State program has had in a long time. He was a legit 6'2", about 245 pounds. He looks like an NFL inside linebacker. Should expect to see him a little bit more in the rotation, but behind Blake Carroll and Trey John Stevenson Queen.
And Ben, our friends in Las Vegas think this is going to be a pretty close game. It started off as a pick-em, and it's gone up and down, fluctuated. But when you look, Saturday afternoon after this ball game's over, what do you think is going to be the key for both teams? You say, hey, this team won because. What do you think that'll be?
Yeah, I think you start with turnovers. That's been the biggest thing, certainly the biggest bugaboo that Georgia State's had to deal with in their program history, specifically at home. In games where they turn the ball over and they don't win that turnover battle, they don't win many. And they did win the turnover battle 2-1 against the Raging Cajuns 2 Saturdays ago. But also there was 3 fumbles that they didn't recover, 2 of them on special teams, which certainly could have turned the game there. We know how random that fumbles can really be, especially getting the kinks out in the early part of the season. I also look at the time of possession. Georgia State, as I mentioned, wants to run the ball. They're very successful running the ball. Get that number up, attempts up to 45, 50, even 55 attempts with multiple guys back and a mobile quarterback as well. So I think that's going to be part of the game plan. Something that really jumped off the page to me from the Panthers' game 1 win, game 1 game and ended up lost in overtime. They were 8 for 20 on 3rd downs. That certainly has to get better. They want to be around 50% or just slightly a little bit higher. So I think those are the areas that I'll immediately look at. See the rushing attempt, see the time possession, and certainly the turnover battle.
Yeah, taking a look at this matchup, you think of Sean Elliott coach teams, they're going to be tough, they're going to be well coached, and just really put forth a tremendous effort in the trenches. And this East Carolina team, so many inexperienced defensive linemen. You have 10 or 12 guys that are rotating in, and only one of those saw any playing time last year. So the Pirates will need to bring their lunch pail for sure in the trenches on Saturday to slow down that Georgia State rushing attack and get its offense back on the field for sure. But before we let you go, Ben, we really appreciate the visit, and go ahead and plug Panther Talk and tell folks how they can find your work, follow you on social media, and so forth.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been more 24/7, pretty much on every social media outlet. Privileged to be covering Georgia State since their first practice back in 2009. As you mentioned, it's an 11-year-old program. We've been along for the ride with 24/7 the last 5 years before we were an independent. But we're grateful to be with 24/7 and a wonderful family there, a great network of sites. But yes, just PantherTalk.com or hit 24/7 and find us as a Georgia State affiliate. We mentioned, we do bring on opposing fans. Our message boards are pretty tame, as I tell people all the time. Georgia State football has averaged about 3 wins this season since its existence, so there's not a whole lot of trash talking for the most part, unless it's our rival, that directional school down at Georgia Southern.
Really appreciate the time. I know you came highly recommended with David Brown of the State of Atlanta podcast, who's also on the program. I'm going to enjoy our visit with him, and we look forward to having you back on. I know it's going to be 7 years before the Pirates and Panthers play again. It's supposed to be 2027 unless that game gets changed. But we do a weekly preview show called the Inside Slant, and we'd love to have you on to talk some Georgia State football maybe later in the season.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I appreciate it, and appreciate y'all having me on for sure.
All right, so great stuff there, and Bubba, great job, and more, and with the Panther Talk there. Easy. What's funny about that is every time I want to say Panther Talk, I think about the Carolina Panthers. I don't know why. I've been wanting to say the Carolina Panthers even though I know it's Georgia State, I know it, but it's funny. Panther Talk, but great stuff there, and guys, what a great show. Love all our guests, and it's great to be here tonight. Looking forward to. I'm praying for a win on Saturday. Want to get your thoughts, you guys. I know you gave your predictions, but before we go and promo our upcoming content, some final words on Georgia State and what do you think will happen?
Yeah, I was just perusing the message boards. We may be down 2 to 3 offensive linemen this week, so that ain't good news. I'll have to wait and see. Maybe a couple of those guys can play, but that would make things a little more difficult.
Yeah, we'll definitely be interested to see who those guys are. One of the good things is that we do have some flexibility, even though we are still, and I know folks are tired of hearing this, but it's just a fact. As far as some of the youth there on the offensive line, you have Avery Jones and then also Justin Chase from NC State, Jones, of course, from UNC. Those guys, even though they came from those programs and were highly regarded, and they had played very little, if no football, like Coach Houston referenced on his radio show on Monday night. So hopefully we're going to be able to hold up there. And if we do, I think that we
as you could tell by my score prediction of 41-31, I think we can make some big plays on UL. The Raging Cajuns hit them with some big plays, rolled up. It's crazy, guys. They converted 3 out of 14 third downs, but then they had something like 540 yards of offense, if I'm not mistaken.
Big plays, probably big plays.
Yeah, exactly. Big plays. And we had that big play potential, whether it's C.J. Johnson, the Audio Mateau Show, Tyler Snead, et cetera. So hopefully we'll be able to hold up and give Holton some time to operate. And if so, I think we'll make some big plays happen.
Yeah, for me, the offense has got to play better than they did last week. And obviously, I think they'll have a huge game on the offensive side of the ball. And hey, guys, it just depends on how well the defense, if the defense can play, again, mediocre all season long, we'll take it because that'll get us a number of wins, and maybe we can go to a bowl game. That'll be awesome if it's December, January, February, whenever we have the bowl season. I don't know. It'll be a lot of fun. All right, Bubba. I know we got some. What's that?
It's special teams. It's the third side of the football.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget the fourth side and the sideline.
Yeah. No, but special teams are going to be critical this week. I have a feeling.
It'd be nice to have Tyler Snead to run one back, wouldn't it?
Do what?
It'd be nice to have Tyler Snead to run one back for us.
Absolutely, it would.
That would be maybe a kickoff or a punt return or something. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Let's start Saturday the way we did USF last year, but then let's hope the rest of the game goes differently.
No kidding.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take it. Bub, I know we got some big content coming up. Obviously, this has been the Pirate preview, but we've got some great stuff over the next few days.
Yeah, of course, Saturday night we'll have our Pirate football playback as always. On Sunday morning at 9 a.m. we'll have our college football playback. But tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, right here on Facebook as well as our YouTube channel. Make sure you're liking, following, subscribing, and 8 o'clock, Jeff Tarpley of Gig'em 24/7 will join us to talk about Texas A&M traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. At 8:15, Pete Medhurst, Navy's play-by-play voice, will join us to talk about the Middies traveling out to Colorado Springs to take on Air Force and the Falcons' first game of the season.
It was going to be one of only 2 games for Air Force until the Mountain West announced they were going to play football starting in late October.
Yeah, very true. And we'll be very interested to see how Troy Calhoun's Falcons play in game 1 against a Navy team that did manage to come from behind down 24-0 at Tulane. And so then moving on at 8:30, you got Ken LaVicka, who's the FAU play-by-play voice, Willie Taggart. And FAU will finally play their first game after having their schedule haven't played with their schedule due to COVID, losing games against Georgia Southern, at least temporarily. And in addition to Georgia Southern, I'm trying to recall who was the other one against, Kyle?
South Florida, I believe.
Yeah, that is correct, because he was going to be playing his former school. And then 8:45, Todd Blythe, a former Iowa State wide receiver from the Cyclone Fanatic, will join us. 9 o'clock, Ryan Aber, OU beat writer for the Oklahoman, will give us the other side of that matchup in Ames. 9:15, Will Vandervoort from the Clemson Insider on the Tigers and UVA. And then rounding things out at 9:30, we were going to catch up with this guy earlier in the year when UAB was in action. UAB's beat writer, who's actually an Alabama alum, Evan Dudley. He will join us to talk about UAB taking on 3-0 UTSA. And we'll also, with him being an Alabama guy, talk about the Tide and Texas A&M.
Sounds good. Good lineup.
Good stuff. Good job as always, guys, and look forward to a Pirate victory. Hope we can get that. It's a lot of fun.
I got one more thing I want to say. It's my mom's birthday, so if she happens to be watching, or if someone sees this, happy birthday to my mom. Tell her I said it. Of course, I called her myself and told her, and I'm gonna go see her tomorrow. But I'm just saying, I'll shout her out on the podcast. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Mom. What did you say, Bubba? Happy birthday, who?
I was picking. I said, happy birthday, Mom.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can tell her happy birthday, too. That's fine.
All right. We're going to put this podcast to bed, and certainly like John Mellencamp, ain't even done with the nights. It's time to go home, and we got to get it. Well, it's been such a good show. We don't want it to end, but we got to. So, Bubba, we don't want to get you in more trouble. We'll let you run. Kyle, man, enjoyed it. Thanks to all our great guests. You've been watching the Pirate Preview here on the Sports Objective Podcast. And as always, go Pirates. Good night, everybody.